Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Mo Atkins.
This episode, we're going to be talking about cancer insurance. What is it, and do you even really need it? And my guest today is Karen. She's a financial advisor, a licensed broker with over 24 years of experience helping clients and businesses protect their financial wealth. Did I get it, Karen? Are we good?
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, Karen. Honestly, I appreciate you having this conversation with me. I've never heard of cancer insurance, and I think this is a great topic to have because a lot of people, we know cancer is a huge issue in society. So this is a great conversation to have with you. So welcome. Anything you want to add?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to educate people about the coverage that's available to them.
I appreciate that. And I think this is a great conversation because with health itself, a lot of people don't realize that, this can be beneficial for their mental health because they can have that protection. So with that said, what is cancer insurance? Like, educate me. What is cancer insurance, please?
Okay, so cancer insurance is actually not new to Canada.
Okay.
There are companies in Canada selling, most people know about critical illness insurance, but there are companies in Canada selling cancer insurance before critical illness actually became a thing in Canada. And as a matter of fact, I purchased my first cancer policy in 1990 from a company called, from a company called Aflac Insurance. I don't know, you might have seen the commercials. They have that Aflac, the duck.
Yes.
So Aflac used to be in Canada, and I actually used to work for Aflac as a marketing coordinator, and that's how I, got introduced to cancer insurance. And so, I purchased my policy in 1990. And so there's two types of cancer insurance. So what cancer insurance that Aflac sold was a hospital cash plan. So if you're diagnosed with cancer, it would give you a lump sum, similar to critical illness, but also pays you for each day that you're in the hospital as a result of cancer, and also as a result of treatment for cancer. So every time you have to go for treatment, it would pay you a certain amount for that. So that's sort of the cancer supplemental. There's like two types. So that's the supplemental, where it pays you for hospital stays. Every time you in the hospital, it'll pay you for that. Every time you go for treatment, it pays you for that. And then there's the other cancer insurance, which is similar to critical illness. That's a lump sum. So you're diagnosed with cancer, it's going to pay you out a lump sum amount upon the diagnosis.
I see. So I see what you mean. Sorry, I finish your sentence.
Yeah.
Was that it? Okay.
So there's basically two types. There's two types of coverage. Supplemental health, whereby it's sort of like you go to the hospital, you spend 10 days in hospital, it's going to pay you $100 a day or $200 a day or whatever it is you're insured for each day that you're there. And then it also pays you for every time you go for treatment, $100 or $200, whatever it is, for every time you go for treatment. Some of them also pay you for recovery from those treatments. And then there's, you get diagnosed and you're insured for $25,000. You're diagnosed with cancer, it's going to pay you out that lump sum. So there's two different types that are offered.
Then how different is it from critical illness insurance then? I'm trying to understand, like, what's the main thing? Is it, well, the main thing would be because you have cancer. Okay. I'm not like the simplest thing. Yes.
So critical illness insurance now, most people are familiar that it covers you for a variety of critical illnesses. So if you're diagnosed with things like cancer, heart attack, stroke, coronary bypass, coma, blindness, deafness, there's 25, some companies have 27 different illnesses that are listed in their the critical illness policy. So once you're diagnosed, the lump sum benefit is paid out usually sometimes 30 days after diagnosis. Some companies are getting rid of that 30-day wait from diagnosis to payment. Some companies now it's upon diagnosis. So critical illness covers a variety of illnesses. So it's a little harder to qualify for critical illness because they're looking at everything, right? So they're going to be looking at your, do you have diabetes? Do you have high blood? So you're answering a lot of questions. While cancer insurance now is specific, it's only for cancer. So they're not looking at the fact that, are you going to have a heart attack in the next 5 years because you've got high blood pressure? They're not looking at those side of things. They're only looking at, do you have cancer now? Some of them will look at, your family history. Have 2 or more of your parents, brothers and sisters been diagnosed with cancer before the age of 60? And there's only maybe a few questions that are asked for cancer insurance. So the majority of people, unless you've been diagnosed with cancer, or unless you have, a brother, sister, mother, father also diagnosed with cancer, you're not going to be able to qualify. But the majority of people, even if you have one brother or sister, as long as you don't have more than 2, you're pretty much guaranteed to get coverage for cancer.
I appreciate the explanation, because for me, when I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, cancer, like, how different is it critical? But when you stated that with critical insurance, the qualification is going to be a lot higher because there's a huge range.
Yes.
And that makes a lot more clarity. I think for a lot of people that are listening or even watching you right now, what are some of the common myths that would prevent somebody from even considering cancer insurance? Are there any out there?
There are myths. And then one of the myths is that, the government is going to, if I get cancer, the government is going to pay, like my OHIP will help me. But that's actually not the case. There are different qualifications depending on what province that you live in. So I actually have an ebook on my web page that talks about the myths related to cancer care in Ontario. So each province is different. So for example, home care, right? So right now, it's estimated that 50% of the cancer drugs are administered at home.
Okay.
Instead of in the hospital. They're so that when you take at-home treatments, in some provinces, that is not covered. So it all depends on what province you're in. So I have, you can actually see that on my website. I think I have it here. Just to get the, so for example, in Ontario, right, it'll be covered. Some of it will be covered, but you have to pay the deductible, and the deductible in Ontario is $3,400. If you live,
I'm sorry, hold on, $3,400 of what?
So you have to pay.
I heard you, $3,400.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, of the Trillium benefit. So Trillium benefit will cover, and the OHIP will cover some of the, but you have to pay that deductible. So the deductible in Ontario is $3,400. If you live in Nova Scotia, that deductible is $22,400. If you live in BC,
Karen, you can't just say $22,000 and then not expect anybody. Like, I think for a lot of people, like, okay, I'm sorry, let me let you finish, and then maybe you will surprise me more. Go ahead, Karen. I apologize.
So it all depends on what province you're in. But also, in addition to the, most, as I said, 50% of the new cancer drugs are designed to be administered at home. So you're going to have to come up with that money depending on what province you're in. But it's also the additional out-of-pocket costs that many people don't consider that are also now involved in, taking care of cancer. So if you go to like GoFundMe and you Google cancer, there's close to 1 million people trying to get money because they've been diagnosed with cancer, because there's many out-of-pocket costs that aren't covered. So there's things like if you want to do organic or naturopathic supplements, or the parking, just the parking, going down, daily parking, you have 25 treatments, you got to go there every day, that's a lot of money. Also vitamins. And what if, you've been diagnosed with cancer now and you want to get your eggs frozen or your sperm frozen because, what if I can't have children? So that's an additional cost. What if you've been diagnosed now, you've got kids sitting at home? Who's going to take care of your kids while you go there? What if you can't cook your meals because you're sick and you're single and there's nobody? You got to pay money for someone to come in and take care of you. You got to pay money for wigs, maybe. You got to pay money for, you got to buy new clothes because now you're sick and you've lost weight. So all these additional costs add up. So the out-of-pocket costs associated with cancer are huge. And also in my ebook, there is a study on by, I can't remember. Oh, I have it in my notes. It's on my ebook. And it talked about a family whose daughter was diagnosed with cancer in rural Manitoba. And they had to travel to Brandon over 6 months. And over 6 months, they paid out of pocket $24,000. So if you don't have $24,000 when you're healthy, where's it going to come from? And it might not be you diagnosed with cancer. It might be your child, or it might be your spouse. And now you're not going to say, well, honey, you know what? I can't take the day off work to go down with you to the hospital. You know, can you take a cab? You're going to take time off work to care for that person. And so the cost of you now taking time off work, you're not sick, you're not getting paid. So all these additional costs add up, and it causes financial, a financial burden. So the man who
and also mental in the family
and
as
mental,
well.
oh yes, that too,
Yeah.
that too. So the man who actually, I mean, cancer insurance was before critical illness came on the scene, but it was critical illness was invented by a doctor, Marius Barnard, who was a doctor in South Africa, and he was a doctor who did the first human-to-human heart transplant, and he found that his patients were surviving the surgery, they're surviving the procedure, but their finances were being destroyed. And that's why he came up with critical illness insurance, because you might survive the cancer, but it could wipe you out financially. So with cancer, there's so many things that are not covered that you have to consider. So if you are now healthy and doing well, and imagine if someone gave you $25,000, imagine what that difference would be if you're sick and someone gives you $25,000. So if you could use $25,000 now that you're healthy, what would that mean to you if you were sick, right? So when you're looking at, yeah, the government might pay for some things, but there's all these additional costs that are associated with cancer. And there's a site called Cancertainty for All. And Cancertainty for All just talks about, across Canada, there's so many different things that are covered for some provinces that are not covered in other provinces. And they're trying to say, all these things should be covered. It might cover the treatment, but it's not going to cover the out-of-pocket costs. So it's a great site. You can go on there. And I had a quote they have some testimonials on there. And one woman said, I had to spend most of my tax-free investments to get medication before my drug plan kicked in. So you have to think about, even if you have a drug plan, you still might have to come up with out-of-pocket costs. And she's saying there needs to be more grants and awareness of financial support for those who can't afford it. Realistically, I would have died without the money I had saved. I had to spend all the money in my life savings to live. So this is real. This is something that, because the Canadian Cancer Society says that 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 2, there's you and me talking here, one of us is going to get cancer. Not knock wood, right? But the statistics are 1 in 2. So we insure our homes, we insure our car, and the chances of your house burning down is maybe 1 in 1,800. The chances of getting cancer is 1 in 2. And the realities of the cost are real. So you have to do something. You have to put something in place, because if you insure the fridge that you bought from the Bay, you need to insure your income.
Fair enough.
Right?
I agree with you. I think what stood out for me listening to you was how shocking it was. I don't think it's well known, but you also mentioned that with cancer insurance, is it eligible for kids that are under the age of 18? Can you get?
Yes.
That's what I want. Yeah, because the way it came across, it seemed like that. I'm not sure if critical insurance offers that. Does it offer that for younger than 18?
You can also insure your children.
Okay.
As well. And one of the companies, Sun Life, that I work for, they have a great kids plan, but they also have a sheet of of claims that they have paid out. And of the claims that they've paid out in 2019, 67% of their critical illness claims were for cancer. 67%. So, I mean, it's covering 23 other, or how many other illnesses, but 67% of the claims that are paid out were for cancer. It's important. It's important. I mean, you should have critical, because you just never know. I had a client diagnosed 2 years ago with MS, and she had a critical illness policies, and she was very thankful for it. You don't know, but actuarially and statistically, you're more likely to be diagnosed with cancer than the other illnesses. And there was a one of the claims that they paid out in 2019 with Sun Life was for a 15-year-old who got cancer and had the policy for 11 years. He had the policy for 11 years. So that means that the parents had insured him when he was 4, right? And so that policy paid out $100,000. So imagine what that $100,000 did for that family now, because the child is sick, but the parents are not going to say, you know, honey, take the cab down to the hospital. They're going to take time off work. They're going to do whatever it is to keep their child alive. So it's not only for ourselves as adults, but also you insure your children as well, because you will sell your house. I would sell my house and all my clothes if my child got sick, right? So those kind of things you have to consider. It's not just the government is going to pay, you know.
I hear what you're saying. I have critical disability insurance. I have it. Like
Yes.
I have it. I am insured. I think I was fortunate at a young age to be around financial advisors.
Yeah.
So I knew, like, it's bad out
It's
there. A lot of
important.
people don't. Yeah. But when I say it's bad, is because there's a lot of ignorance in what people need to know for their long-term health and benefit. I'm really glad about this conversation. I think if people are watching, for people that are watching or listening to us itself, if they want to reach out to you, what is the best platform to reach out to you on?
You can my Facebook. I'm on Facebook, but I'm also have a website, lifelinecoverage.com. So you can go on there, and
you mentioned your ebook. Is your ebook on the?
Oh yes, the ebook. There's an ebook that you can download from my website. The common myths about cancer care.
Right.
You know, just to let you know about the costs that are, you know, not talked about in the care for cancer and other illnesses. I mean, GoFundMe is not insurance. I mean, sometimes that helps, and it's people that are generous and they start a GoFundMe page for you. But really, you need to protect yourself, because, as I said, Canadian Cancer Society, it's 1 in 2. So
I know what you're saying. I think what I'm a little confused about really is, because it's 1 in 2 people that can get cancer. Why is cancer insurance not advertised on a day-to-day? You hear McDonald's being advertised, you hear other stuff, but the mere fact that our society has a high risk of getting cancer, and it just, I'm sorry, I'm dumbfounded.
Most people think, you know, it's not going to happen to me. So I'll tell you about 2 of my clients. One client was a doctor, the healthiest person that I know, okay? And he wrote multiple books on health and wellness, and he got cancer. And I had another client, 56 years old, diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer, who's never smoked a day in his life. So you
never know.
You just never know. But most people think, oh, I don't have any history. But there's so many people who have no history that get diagnosed. And so it doesn't cost a lot for supplemental cancer insurance. So one of the policies that we offer is, again, that was supplemental, where it pays you for each day that you're in hospital. It also pays you once you've come out of hospital and you can't go back to work, you've been, you know, you're disabled, you can't go back to work. It pays you to recover 3 times the number of days that you're in hospital. And then it pays you for treatment for every day that you go for treatment. And so when you calculate the benefit that policy you could get from that policy, it's about $284,000. Well, that policy is $12 and something cents a month for someone up to the age of 44. For someone up to the age of 70, it's $23. It's not a lot of money, and it can make a huge difference in your lifestyle. So I should go back to explain the difference between those supplemental plans and critical illness, or the cancer lump sum critical illness, is that those plans pay out. Once they've paid out, the policy's finished. So once you've been diagnosed with cancer or critical illness, that policy's done. And after that, you're pretty much uninsurable. But with the supplemental plans, you keep those for life. So you get... yes, you keep those for life. So you're diagnosed once, you know, you get your treatments, you get paid for the hospital and recovery, and then 5 years later, the cancer comes back, you claim again on that policy. So it's it's a different, those are lifetime plans. They don't terminate upon diagnosis. So that's a big difference with those supplemental cancer plans, because it's okay to have that, lump sum critical illness with a lump sum cancer plan, but you need to have something that continues, because cancer is a, female dog. It comes back, right?
Okay.
It comes back. So for some people, it comes back. So it's really important that you really protect yourself. It's not a lot of money, less than pennies a day, to know that you have that in your back pocket. So
I'm sincerely enjoying this conversation
yes.
because no, I say this because I can't, like, I can just imagine anybody watching or listening just having the same reaction I am.
Yeah.
And I think with that said, before I let you go, is there anything that you want to add? Like, what should we know when, if anybody wants to reach out to you, what should they know about you that sets you apart?
Yes. Okay. So you kind of introduced me that I started in the business in 1991 with, as I said, with Aflac. And when I was there, I saw the difference that these little hospital cash cancer plans made in the lives of these clients. A lot of them would write in and send thank you letters saying, thank you so much for introducing this policy to me. Actually, when my daughter was born, I also have the Aflac. The other thing is, like, even hospital plans, because if you get sick, you're going to be in hospital. So my daughter, when she was born in 1994, was in hospital for about 18 days. She was born as a preemie, and our little hospital cash plan paid $9,000 for her being in hospital for those 18 days. And that little plan cost like $27 a month. So these little plans, they really add up. Like when my mom got sick again, she was in hospital a lot. That little $46 plan paid out over $20,000. So these little plans make a difference. You think, I go to Tim Hortons and I spend $12 or whatever. If you spend $12 every month on yourself, it makes a difference. So that's one of the reasons why I got into the business, because I saw the difference that insurance can make in people's lives. When something happens or someone gets sick, people show up and they bring you, a casserole or condolences. I'm going to show up. I'm going to bring you money. So, so it's important. It's important, and it makes a difference. If someone gave you $100 now, you'd be so happy for it. So can you imagine if you're getting a check for $50,000, $25,000 when you're sick? And so that's why I do what I do, and that's why I tell everybody, you need to protect the most important thing, and that's you and your ability to earn an income. If you have no income coming in, what are you going to do? So you need to ensure you are the money tree. I say, imagine you wake up every day and you have a money tree sitting in the corner of your house, and every day you go pick money from that tree, right? Would you insure that tree? Because when you leave, you don't know who's going to break into your house and try to steal your tree. You would insure that tree.
I
You
would
are
insure my door. I'm sorry. I would insure my door. I would have barricades in front of my tree.
exactly. Exactly. So that barricade is a moat. People build castles and they don't have a moat, right? You need to build a moat around your castle to stop the invading forces. And the thing that's going to do it is that's going to take away anything that's going to take away your ability to earn an income. You need to insure it.
I appreciate that. I think a lot of people need to hear that. I really do. A lot of people spend money on drinks or cookies or stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
This is your life. And yeah.
Yeah.
With that said, go ahead.
Yeah. So in addition, I'm not just saying you combine it with other things. You combine it with disability insurance, again, to provide you with a monthly income as well. So it's not all in isolation. It should be as part of a complete financial plan. We look at everything that you're doing and try to find ways of making it affordable. So that's why I started Lifeline Coverage. I also do a financial planning company, but I also started Lifeline to provide low cost, affordable coverage for people that need it most. People that are, you're working paycheck to paycheck. But if you can spend $10 or $20, we're going to help you to protect your income, because it's important that we take care of one another.
No, and I agree with you. And I think what people don't also get from just listening to you talk is that once you protect yourself, you're protecting your ability to deal with the situation, your mental health, your happy. Like, I know the
Yes.
situation is not happy, but
Yeah.
that peace of mind at that situation will allow you to help to recover faster because you're not worried about where the next money is coming from.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
With that said, I want to say thank you for joining me, Karen.
Thank you so
I had
much
to
for
find
having
her. I had to find her to join me. Everybody listening, I had to find her to join me today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired, and don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way Podcast. Have a good day, you guys.